We're going to get some dirt.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of some stories from about Evans in the next few minutes, but he's currently living in D.C. He is the boyfriend of Jennifer. If you were watching those interviews in between the last two games, they're the cool new in Scrabble couple. Scrabble couples are definitely a thing. And so he's currently in D.C., but he and I were in Portland together for a while. So let's jump on in here. Scott, I believe, is up first. So.
Oh, Evans wishes he was first so that he could dump, and Scott wishes he was second so that he could hopefully get a T for Petronel.
Yeah.
But it's one of the problems when you have a promising rack and you're going first and you only have 8s or 8-letter words, and you have to kind of break up the rack in order to score, and God knows what you're going to pick out of the bag.
Yeah. So I have to switch my brain over here. Does Evans have anything? Probably.
Well, yeah, we're into call-ins.
Yeah, so I'll have to think about that.
We haven't been using any software to come up with words, but I think we will need a little bit of help since it's not our native dictionary. So I'm going to switch over.
Might switch over, but what the heck is everything? Yeah, so actually I don't even have the new Collins words.
I'm going to put that in.
Okay.
I actually do,
Cool.
so thank God.
Oh, in Quackle.
Thank God for John Shu populating my computer with all sorts of goodies.
Yeah. So Evans, I believe, is still winning his division. Scott is 3 games back.
He is. I checked over the break.
And Evans has finished near the top in the World Scrabble Championship before in Perth, Australia. Shout out to Carmel Dodd superfan. And he's got a pretty good shot at it this time. He's spent a couple years in the Scrabble powerhouse that was Portland, Oregon. Too many of us have since moved, I think, but it's still a great place. I think Evans got a couple hours of sleep last night. We were maybe imbibing until about 2 a.m., I think. 2 a.m.-ish.
Oops. So as you can see, what I predicted happening with Scott actually did happen. So he broke up a really promising rack, and then he picked up right now an unplayable Q and a J, and he's not going anywhere fast.
Yeah. Just want to make one shout out here to Craig Beavers, a former World Scrabble champion who we're happy to have following along here. He's a evil budgie. So if you have any crazy questions about what it's like to be a world champion.
Who's that? Evil Budgie?
Evil Budgie, I believe, is Craig Beavers.
Hey, Craig. Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
You could probably ask him whatever questions you have about the world scene. Oh, Evans already has a blank because he's a luckbox.
Hi. USNT, I've been reading your comments, and I assume the US stands for United States.
National Government. I don't know.
If you want to identify yourself. Yeah, I know it is difficult going between two dictionaries. As you can imagine, it's even worse for us who have to do the commentary on it. But the reality is that Scrabble is an international game. We do have both dictionaries represented at this tournament, and they both deserve to be seen by their respective audiences.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, is that even if this is an American tournament, and I see the appeal of only wanting to play OWL, which is the North American one, is that a lot of people watching here are not from the U.S., so it would be pretty confusing if you were a Scrabble enthusiast from anywhere out from the rest of the world, and the words you were used to all of a sudden were no longer things.
And I'll tell you what, because there is such great interest in what's going on with the other dictionary, I'll try to give you far more frequent updates. So I see Ben Schunbrun on his opening rack has AEEIRRW, which is warrior, so he's going to bingo on his very first turn, which will not make Will happy, but we'll see what Will has.
Yeah.
All right.
So meanwhile, I suppose Scott's going to catch a break here because of that open U.
He sure is. I'm not sure what he's thinking about, but
probably, yeah. I don't know. What is he thinking about?
You play queen or you play?
Well, probably quag.
Quag.
And that's going to block Will's large play.
And you can play queen Quean and Quen.
Yeah. So illuminate. Anyone can sign up for a tournament like this. You pretty much just have to be a member of the organization, which is I think $30 a year. Shout out to NASPA for putting this on. And yeah, you pretty much just sign up and you can come play. You probably want to practice a bit. There are multiple divisions, so you're seeing only the games from Division 1. These are some of the top players. But there's Division 2, 3, and 4. You work your way up over time. I think when Evan started, I think he was in Division 2 or 3 at his first nationals. So get better over time.
I don't know if anybody has gone over to the event page. It's event.scrabbleplayers.org, and you can actually see the games being played live as well. And for whatever reason, they're using what's called Quackle, which is another software we use to simulate the game. And every single time, Quackle is recommending that you pass.
Yeah,
so
they don't have the new word list.
Okay.
It's
but this is the which new word list? Because this is Will and Ben.
TWL 14. They don't have it. The annotators don't have it.
Oh.
Yes,
thank you.
Stefan Fatsis is still around. He's probably about 30 or 40 feet from me right now. His daughter is also here as well. She's one of the top kid players these days. So
she is. She plays at the school Scrabble Championships every year and always does very, very well.
Yeah, she's, I guess, aged out now. I guess they have the high school division now, but
yes, they do. That was new this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll continue that.
So Stefan's hanging around somewhere. Probably bring him in to say hi at some point later today.
Sure. Just to give you an update, Will is down 75 to 120 to Ben, and his rack is IKLPRRT, so he's got some work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Fatsis book was certainly pretty important for us. Actually, we had an Uber driver the other day who had read the book and.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we like to talk about a lot of the younger players being part of the Word Freak generation because we all read the book Word Freak by Stefan Fatsis. And actually, I'm technically not part of the Word Freak generation because I did not find out about Tournament Scrabble from reading the book. I'm one of the few kids, I believe. Well, kids. I am old now. When I started playing half a lifetime ago, I was actually a child.
I was asked to be interviewed for that, and I had just had my second son, and I declined. And probably in some ways, that's a good thing because Stefan is quite the incisive observer of human behavior.
That he is, yeah.
God knows, sleep deprived with my second child, I might not have been as coherent as I would have liked to have been.
Yeah. You can see Benji hanging out in the background there. That's a good point.
Oh, he hasn't started his game?
No, he's just hanging out in the behind Scott Jackson.
Okay.
At his table.
Okay. Wow, yeah.
Yeah. So, can we get a score update? It's
Sure.
definitely not 56 to 13 right now.
Oh, on this game here?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on? BJ? BJ's going to go fix that for us. And it's still 120 to 75 for Ben over Will, as far as I can tell. Yeah, that hasn't changed. We're still waiting for Will to decide how he's going to pass his tiles and which ones to keep.
Yeah, but what's the score we can throw in here in the?
I'm gonna bring up that board game for you, and we'll have an update through that as well.
Throw out a little hello to Marsh hanging out there. Welcome, Marsh.
Hey, Marsh.
One-time member of our NASPA social media team.
Marsh Richards?
Yeah.
Is she still writing all that fanfic?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So welcome from Maine. We do have people from a number of countries here. I know the U.S. and Canada are certainly represented. Malaysia is represented by way of Nigel, who is, of course, from Christchurch, New Zealand. So.
But he lives in Malaysia.
But he's lived in KL for quite a long time. Also got a few Aussies here, I think 5 or 6, I believe. A couple Brits and a couple Nigerians, and I think.
Do we Canadians count? No, we're North America.
I said U.S. and Canada.
All right.
And I think someone from the Caribbean is here. I forget.
So the score is correct. And as you can see, Evan has picked up a blank.
The score cannot be correct. There's no way.
Oh, now it's not. Now Scott, you're right. Now Scott has 98.
Okay. Go the Aussies. Well, Carmel's still hanging in there. I know Evans just beat her, but
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because she had led the pack for a day or two even,
Yeah.
and then she started to fade. And we don't know her as well. We know other players. We know other players are very very good, and this is what often happens. You'll have somebody who you don't expect to be leading, and then all of a sudden then they just fade into the sunset. But she's actually come back up. It's a new day for her.
Yeah. No, she had a great start, and I mean it would it'd be pretty cool to see her hang around towards the end here. Yeah. So God, I feel like I haven't told any Evans stories yet.
Oh,
I should probably tell an Evans.
this is a perfect.
Let me tell you a story about Evans. So we're here every January, and for a Scrabble tournament. It's an awesome Scrabble tournament, the Crescent City Cup. I've been here for it 7 times. I highly recommend anybody come here even to hang out, even if you're not going to play Scrabble. So we have a few bars that we're a big fan of, and
Just a few.
we've been known to have the occasional beer. And this one time, we were up on the second story, kind of looking down on everything, and all of a sudden I look down, and Evans is sitting on the sidewalk, and people are taking pictures with him. Turns out it was he had become a tourist attraction and was no longer with us for a little bit. And Jesse Day, another top Scrabble expert, was actually urging the crowd on. So
What was he doing?
helping everyone take pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he was photobombing them.
I thought he was actually playing Scrabble on the sidewalk, and the reason I thought of that is because when we've actually been asked to speak a little lower, so maybe BJ can boost our volume again a bit more because people can hear us in the nearby games. So we're going to talk a little lower. When I was just starting out in Scrabble, I actually was dating somebody named Dave Boyes, who ended up being a Canadian and world champion. And we are huge hockey fans. So we were students, though, at the time and couldn't afford the tickets, of course. And Montreal Canadiens, you're never going to get seats to that. But they always had some free seats that you would stand behind what's called the Reds, the red seats lower down. So we would get there super, super early and stand in line for a couple of hours waiting to get into these free seats. And what would we do? Well, we would break out a Scrabble board and we would sit on the sidewalk and play. We did that for hours every game.
So meanwhile, in this game that's going on, despite Evans having that blank since like the dawn of time now, I think it's growing a little bit of mold on it. Scott's managed to, I believe, jump out to a bit of a lead
Well,
here.
it's just coming down now, the jig.
Yeah.
We have quite a delay.
So yeah, he was up by a few points, and now he's playing jig here for like 52, I believe, and that's gonna put him up about a bingo, which.
And now he's got a beautiful rack too.
Oh geez, wow, yeah, it's
looking good for Scott right now.
Looking good for Scott at the moment. Scott and Evans have a friendly little rivalry with each other. They like to throw lots of shade each other's way, typically from the Evans in the Scott direction. So when Scott beats Evans, it's always very funny. So
Robin had suck. I was waiting for Matthew to say something. You did not disappoint Muffin with Tentacle.
Yeah.
We have a rivalry because he lives in Ottawa.
Yeah. So you don't have time per turn. You have 25 minutes to play your entire game, and you can allocate that time as needed. For some people, 25 minutes is more than enough time. For some people, 25 minutes is never enough time. There are some people who consistently go over on time or are very close to it pretty much every game. So it's hanging over here with Evans' turn. 142 to 71, I believe, is the current actual score.
Let's see. I'll forward it for you.
So
I'll get you the score exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why we're having 150 to
150 to 71. Oh, right, because it was 52. Yeah.
So we're going to get that fixed for you guys. It's
Yeah.
a little early game stutters.
Yeah.
Always happens.
What's a few points anyway? Okay, fine. I'm just kidding.
Okay, everything, but okay.
Yeah.
So let's see if Evans has anything. I don't see anything off. So we obviously know Devotion. That's the easy one. But the one that we wouldn't know is Volutoid.
Wow.
Which is not available for him to play either of them.
Yeah. So if you go over on time, which means you run out of your 25 minutes, you would lose 10 points for every additional minute that you get. So you can go on, I think it's up to 10 minutes overtime, at least in the U.S. Usually if you go more than 10 minutes over, they'll probably just call the game. That I don't think I've ever heard of that happening. I think it's happened maybe once, and ultimately it's at the director's discretion. But honestly, over time, you're just going to want to make a play anyway. You're going to get bored of looking at a rack for too long.
Well, I don't know if you were around for this, but I was at a Worlds. I think it was the one in Malaysia, and the Thai players are very, very interesting in that many of them don't even speak any English, and so they learn the dictionary just by acceptable configuration of letters in a row, which is why they don't often know that you can take a gerund, you can make that a word is a verb, for example, and they'll sit and they'll agonize whether it's an ing word. And I think he had satire with it. He had a easy nothing bingo rack, and he literally took 10 minutes trying to figure out the best placement for the bingo, and he chewed up 10 minutes of his 25 minutes. Just
Yikes.
It's unbelievable how he did that. And every time we go, okay, this is the time. Every time he put it up, this is the time he's going to hit the clock. And it's crazy.
Yeah. So interesting opportunities for Scott here. I mean, he certainly has a million bingos, but he can also not use all of his tiles here and score quite a bit. He has misdone for 47.
And that's through the jig, and that would be the double-double we talked about earlier on today.
Saving the blank. There's probably a bingo through that I anyway, which would probably be worth
Let's take a look. He would have to hook the S onto Avo in order for it to be usable.
Yeah. Okay, well, I didn't see anything, and I guess apparently...
no, misdone, MISDONNE is good.
Oh, is that... Oh my goodness, yeah, that's English. I can play both dictionaries, but yeah.
But it's the kind of word that if you were just doing owl, as you're calling it, TWL, it's something that we would know because it's relatively low point tiles. It's a rack you would have seen. But because there's so many more words in the Collins Dictionary, you see so many misses, it's not even funny, except if you're Nigel.
Actually, it is.
I've never seen anybody like Nigel.
Yeah.
He just not only does he not miss, but he finds these intricate plays, these 36-point plays that nobody else can see.
Yeah. So I have no idea if Scott would know.
Well, he can see misdone, and then you'll see it right away.
You either know it or you don't.
Exactly.
So he does not see it. He's going
to do monodies.
Oh, we should wait for them to put it down.
Which is an interesting choice. I don't know.
I'm
not sure why he would do that, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Rodsman would have scored a ton more off jig, hitting the double M and...
Yeah.
Although he would have opened an E to the triple, but...
I think this is Scott attempting to play defense here. I'm not sure if it's necessarily how I would do it.
Well,
but,
that's not going to work. And here comes that hook that he could have had.
You're still on delay.
We know something you don't know.
Yeah. You are all on the out.
There we go.
Side. We're on
How
the
tedious is
inside.
that?
Okay. I see what you did.
Anagram of outside is tedious.
Yeah. If you can find people who make nerdier jokes than Scrabble players, we'd love to meet them. We'd probably get along.
Like we play the license plate game, but our words are like crazy, the ones that we can find.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there are not that many players who play defense or play it very well.
Someone's asking how you play defensive.
Yeah, so I love playing defensively. That's always been like my thing as one of the Scrabble players. And basically, the idea is you just want to give your opponent as few options as possible. But ultimately what it is since you're going to give people options, like it's hard to not... It's hard to have no real plays available. You just want to make sure that whenever it's your opponent's turn, the plays themselves are pretty weak. You don't open too many of the high-scoring scores or the high-scoring squares if you don't have to. English is very hard. It's harder to talk than it is to play Scrabble, I'm convinced at this point. So yeah, basically, it's this idea in statistics of variance and control. And you just want to try to stay in control as much as you can. It's definitely not easy. Yeah. Is Evans a Hindu?
There's a time to play defense. Definitely, you want to if you have a big lead, and that's why it behooves you when you're behind to open up multiple areas within the board. There's 4 quadrants within the board, and you want to open up different ones. So obviously, your opponent can't defend against it on both quadrants. And I've been watching a lot of games this year where the people are not doing that, where they're behind and they're just making tight inside plays, we call them, and not opening up the board. And then I was watching Adam play recently at what was the last big tournament? I have it up on my
Niagara?
no, I think it was the Brands Cup, King's Cup in
Thailand.
Thailand.
Ray, he went to King's Cup.
And he's just blowing the board open, blowing up triples all over the place. It's what you have to do. Like, go down in flames, guys. You know that one, right? Don't lose by a little. Try to win.
Yeah. The Drywall Olympics, huh? That seems like it could be interesting. No, I don't know. So Evans is kind of just hanging out here. There's not much he can do. Not much he can do right now. You know, Scrabble can get pretty intense, even for a viewer. I know we play these games pretty slowly, but give us 1 minute to play a game. It can be it can be quite interesting.
So, number 1, the scores are correct, and number 2. Evans is just demonstrating exactly what I just said. So now he's got the a bingo hook. Bingo means use up all your 7 tiles off the E and outside to come down to the triple row. He has outside takes an S. It also takes an R. And now he's also created a lane along the G. And there's all sorts of lanes off the R and O and prole and queen. So the board is nice and open. He's behind, and he needs to have the board open as much as possible.
Yeah, and with his rec now, he has Isotine, which is very much a Scrabble word. It's kind of the equivalent of, like, if you're doing the New York Times crossword puzzle, there's this idea of crosswordese. Isotine certainly falls in that boat. So when Evans bingos on his next turn, he will still be losing, but it will be a lot closer.
And he scored a ton with Hod.
Yeah. And
the question is, where is he going to play?
Well, he's Rainiest, he has Latinitis.
Yeah, right. So one of the advantages of Rainiest, you might say, oh, that's crazy because it can open a triple row, but that's exactly what he needs to do.
Hashtag Satine. You know, I will say, Yutaku, my favorite anime was Hikaru no Go, which is, you know, essentially an anime about a famous game that brought hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people to the game. So, you know, that's like one of my anime soul characters, if you will. So if there ever was a Scrabble anime, I would be just overjoyed. I would consult for free. Until then, well, I can keep hoping. So
over on the other board, I'm trying to catch you up. I see that Ben bingoed with Entwined using a blank, and Will continues to struggle with lots of consonants, although through a P on his previous turn, he would have had Larkspur, which is really nice. But now I see that Will has... oh, no, Benji bingoed yet again. He had a blank on Entwined, and then he picked up Wuthers right away using the blank as an R. So it's not looking good for Will, who's now down. Oh, my goodness, there are many, many points. Yeah, 424 to 329 for Ben. So it looks like Will is going to be losing that, which is not good for Will, but it's good for us in terms of excitement, in terms of who's going to be making it. There's no finals this year. We have a different format this year. It's just whoever's at number 1 after the final game.
Yeah. So in terms of Scrabble nicknames, yes, we definitely have Scrabble nicknames. I'm Dacron. It's an anagram of my name. That's really original. Robin, I guess we would refer to you as RPD.
I'm RPD.
But Nigel,
Oh,
of
I'm
course.
also Goddess.
Oh,
you don't know that, but the Nigerians call me
Goddess.
Goddess.
Goddess. Let's see, what else? There's a Nigel, of course, is the beard. You have to,
is he? Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. You have to fear the beard, but as I like to say, you have to beer the feared. Nigel doesn't drink, so I can't give him any beers. But let's see, Cesar, Czar, Usually, I mean, we're like word people, so we just make like the stupidest nicknames
Well,
off
Matthew,
of.
well, you're seeing Muffin with tentacle, and that's because it's an anagram of Matthew Tunnicliffe.
Yeah, I call him Tuna though. To me, he will always be Tuna.
And I can be born in the deli if you just do Robin Daniel. I think Joe Edley gave me that one.
Hmm.
Born in the deli. In a deli, which is appropriate because I'm from Montreal. We do a lot of deli in Montreal.
That's true. Yeah.
Verbigator. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Verbigerator. Oh, my goodness. Like refrigerator. I guess.
Does Scott Jackson have a nickname? I don't think he does. Does he? I forget. Yeah, so typically one person is always looking at the board upside down. When it's your turn, you get to, it's up to you whether or not you want to look at the board or not. Some people do actually play upside down.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing,
Yeah.
and frequently you'll get that in older players
Yeah.
because back in the day we didn't have the games with grooves, so you're sitting down with mom and playing for a 3-hour game without
Yeah.
a clock, and it's just too much upheaval to turn the board around every single time. The tiles would fly all over the place, so you learn to play upside down.
Yeah. Robin and I are not currently dating.
Or,
To be totally
ever.
honest with you here.
It's only because of the age difference.
Yeah, a couple other things.
Maybe a couple other things.
So I hope that Scott has his rage face on right now. Okay, rage face is not a word, but I really wish he would play rage face. Yeah. There are some great Scrabble romances, though.
I just got the comment that asked about us. Okay.
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very classy, Jens
Yeah,
Flens.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
See how you do in the dating field. I'm going to get dissed now so bad.
Shout out to Rebecca, who just showed up. Rebecca, we'd love you to throw some more events in Seattle. Come help you direct if need be. Might throw a couple experts your way in the
Ooh, scromances.
near future. Scromances. What was the joke someone came up with recently? We were playing this game where basically we all make fun of each other and laugh a lot, and someone pitched the idea of Scrab Chat, which is essentially some sort of Snapchat Tinder hybrid for Scrabble. And actually Dave Weekend came up with it, which for those of you who know Dave Weekend, that's pretty amazing. So Rage Face was not played, to my great sadness.
In the other game, for USNT, especially Ben Schunbrunn is up 492 to 401. Oh, no, I think it's almost over now.
Yeah.
I'm going to fast forward ahead. So 525 to 401. So he's going to win that game very easily against Will. That's taken care of. We're done there. And we will be going back to the other dictionary for the next game. And at some point we might make executive decisions, especially if the one or the other tournament starts to is won by somebody early. We call that Gibsonizing, and I think we're going to give you a good explanation in Gibsonizing if that happens.
Eventually, I'm sure that
Yeah. So if the tournament gets away and somebody has become a winner, we will probably emphasize the other tournament. Obviously, we want to give you the most bang for your buck in terms of excitement and who's going to win.
Yeah. So pretty much we are in like a dead heat here. Game's pretty much all tied up. So it's as you
it's
say.
not even pretty much. It's entirely.
Yeah. So it's almost as if like you haven't started yet.
It's like 0-0. It's like what's that pool look like?
You did all that work, and here we are.
Now,
so it's definitely still anyone's game.
Right, and now to some extent it comes down to luck, and to some extent it comes down to better board management.
Yeah, I mean, Evans has good tiles here, but if he can't get a bingo down, the flexibility of all those letters that Scott has will allow him to score well and kind of just keep that tempo, which it may just come down to one turn here. That that one turn might be might be what makes the difference.
Also, having that C is a very important tile right now, because if at some point Evans does get into the lead, he can use the C as a blocking tile because C does not make any two-letter words in our dictionary, CH in the other one, but nothing with us. So he might be able to use it to block off the board.
Yep.
I saw Nigel do that the other day when he had, nobody likes the V very much, and he could have played Vox, but he actually held on to it late in the game so that he could use it later to block the board, and that's exactly what he did. So he teaches us a lot of really good lessons all the time.
Yeah. Yutaku, we are in the Big Easy in Louisiana, so the time is too early. It's 10:47 a.m.
We can see Evans has neurons on his rack.
Yeah. Hello to Jackson Smiley. I'm assuming that's who Squish is, because it usually is. This is the Collins Dictionary. And
There's nothing through the G.
Jackson, I was sad to learn that you weren't here this year. It's one of the first times you've missed nationals in a while, I think. We hope to have you back next year when it's, I guess, significantly closer to your house. We have one of my favorite Scrabble players. I believe hails from Denmark. Don't know if she's out there watching today, but Ileana Philby is one of my favorite humans in the universe. She was just
Finnish?
Danish.
Danish.
So she was just in Copenhagen pretty recently, visiting her family, and so shout out to Ileana. We wish she was here as well. It is in Buffalo next year.
It is in Buffalo.
So I don't know if that means I'm going to be trying to defend my championship, or if I'll just be drinking beer on the sidelines again.
And having beer wings. What's the name? Not Duff wings.
Beerfalo wings.
Buffalo wings. Buffalo wings.
Beerfalo wings.
Buffalo, New York, which normally I would say, yay, we get to go to Cheesecake Factory, but Toronto's actually getting the first Canadian Cheesecake Factory.
Wow. There are definitely some people who play Word Feud. I don't personally myself, but definitely people do, and they are understandably pretty solid at it. Yeah, thanks, Kenji. Thanks for breaking the game. I think Matt Muffin has been taking a little break from the game, and we definitely want him to come back. I know he played a tournament recently, but we hope he'll be back soon.
So right now we're waiting for Scott to play, and I think he did.
So someone just mentioned that you were on Colbert.
I was on Colbert, you're right.
How was that?
I actually woke up to find out I was on Colbert. So, and no, it wasn't because I was in a coma at the time, but simply because they had gone into my Facebook page. I had done an interview for the Associated Press when the new dictionary came out a couple of years ago, and they found it very sarcasm-worthy to take one of my comments that now we have more up-to-date words like cybernet, and so I said we're appealing to the more computer generation, and of course that was worthy of tearing me to shreds. And so I had family. I woke up to a lot of emails, obviously, and messages saying you were on Colbert, and I had a cousin who said, "I am not worthy." Stephen Colbert mentioned your name. Your name came out of Stephen Colbert's mouth. So I have arrived, and I can die happy. Apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for some people, to sort of answer this debate in terms of whether or not, what sort of word game might be more fun. It's just about how much time you want to devote it. To playing any one game at a time. There's definitely a lot of appeal to games like Word Feud and the boggle-ear games, if you will. For me, I like the long haul a little more. But it looks like Safe was played by Scott, so he didn't exchange. He's now got both C's, which could be useful.
I think Evans had played Safe. We actually will pay attention to the game at some point, guys.
No, I think Scott played Safe.
No, because he played Oath, I believe.
Well, Evans had ENNORSU. What do you play?
So Scott just played Oath, I believe, and
I'm like literally don't see it on. Oath over there. Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. I mean, not that this was.
No worries.
Not that there was ever any doubt about my idiocy, but as I said, y'all are stuck with me, and
there was Tagled, and then there was Fa, and there was.
Man,
so I'm not sure what he's digging around for by doing that, or he's just scoring. Obviously, the F on the triple letter. You're going to score.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to keep scoring, and he's not going to outrun a bingo, and by that I essentially mean that he's not if Evans bingos, there's no point in playing too much defense here. Scott needs to make sure he's scoring and just trying to score more points than Evans in the end.
So that G is very tempting when you've got all these ends on your rack. N and G are very synergistic, and to some extent, I might have thought he might want to try to open the board. Over Monades might be the only other place. You want to draw somebody's attention away from the area you're interested in. You will have 1 point tiles. You're down by 30. It's very hard to catch up.
Yeah, so Evans has just played Dern. I feel like D-O-U-N is a word in Collins. Maybe there's not many vowels left, I'm guessing. It's an interesting
down is good.
Play from my perspective.
There's 3 R's, or 2 R's anyway. So, yeah, he had to do that.
Well, I think this play may be the turning point, because Evans now has the X, which he's going to be able to score a whole heck of a lot with. So and he's gonna save a couple S's there as well. So.
Okay, now Scott's trying to get rid of his C's and block the board a little bit up.
Is that Collins? I don't know that word. So I think he just played.
He played a phony.
I think he just lost the game.
Did Evans hold him though?
Unless it's new, in which case
Evans did not. It's not new. It's not good, and Evans didn't even hold him.
Wow. So
that might cost him the game.
That could cost. I mean, well, yeah. There's all sorts of things wrong with that play. For starters, Scott had a much better scoring play.
Well,
in Creme for
in
like
Creme? Where was that?
CREME in the bottom, which he'd be fine.
Yeah, Creme, CREME. Oh my goodness.
He could pretty much be he could still outrun a big X play there. So he did end up blocking the X by playing a phony that, for the life of me, Evans didn't challenge. Now remember, in this dictionary, there's just like there's 2 dictionaries, there are different challenge systems. So in the North American dictionary, you would lose your turn if you incorrectly challenged a phony word. But here it only costs you 5 points. So, at this point in the game, yeah, maybe 5 points would be a lot, but also seems at least worth holding that play for a bit and not allowing the opponent to confirm, those points until Evans is convinced that it's a word. So, the bingo hype is here, and the phony hype is here, and let's see what Evans does with this situation he's now gotten himself into.
Well, he's got EXO off the UR in Dern.
I'm gonna give Evans so much crap for this later, in like 10 minutes.
And we're looking at their clocks. Sometimes when you're in severe time trouble, you might not notice what your opponent's playing, or you don't want to take the time to think about it. But he's got over 5 minutes left, so
yeah. And
this board is not good. Like, yes, he's got the S's, but like, so what? Where is he going to put them?
Yeah. He's a phony.
Oh, you're getting all upset here. We're going to have some. He's getting red in the face. Oh my God. You don't want to lose the game because you made a mistake.
Well, that's the key to winning a tournament, is screwing up less than your opponent.
Now, that being said, if he plays EXO, I don't know if there's a better play right now. I haven't really looked very close. He was 8, 9, 11, 12, 25, 33 points, okay? He goes into the lead by 2 points. He's holding 2 S's, which he can hook on to queen if he can make swan or something like that. And he might be in good shape there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Evans still has a decent shot at this. There's, an L in the bag, I believe. So I think it's gonna come down to whether or not Scott can go out in 2 turns and score enough to win the game, because this is a good one.
I'm looking at a really cute spot for the C he could have used to hold on to one of his C's, which is through the A and S in Monades down to the I to make ASCII and go across. And even though it's only 24 whatever points, in a tight endgame like this, to not open the board and score over about 25 points, it's gold. It's enough to win you games often. So a bad play, I think, on Scott's part, and a worse play on Evans' part. Of course, it's easy for us. He might be also considering bingos through the EI and HOD, looking for discontiguous 9.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he knows there's one in the bag. I think he's just trying to figure out. He's probably considering one or two plays that he believes to be the best, and probably just going through each tile that he might draw to hopefully give himself, the best knowledge of as to whether or not he will win based on what he draws.
Ambition. Scott has ambition to an N if that was open.
Is mini boat Ord also? Right, like totally.
Nope.
No.
That's the only bingo. Ambition.
Maxi boat.
Maxi
Right?
boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a maxi boat, but not a mini boat. Well, okay.
I think that's very sizist. I don't think that should be the case.
It's the next thing we're gonna have in society. Is
Okay, so now at some point Evan is going to have to make a decision because this is going to be a very close end game, and he's got to play.
I'm with Cube Justice here. I want to like dump a bunch of slime, but I would argue that it's the person who lets the phony go who gets slimed. I think that would be awesome. I would love to see Evans covered in
green
slime. Okay, well, okay, well maybe that wasn't quite.
Oh, there you go.
Quite what I meant.
He is doing that. 28.
But yeah, so
I don't like that play. It opens up the triple needlessly for an easy, comeback.
yeah. The nice thing about it is that it almost guarantees that Evans is going to get to go out next turn.
That's exactly right.
I am not positive whether or not it's going to be enough.
Now the question is, can Scott get rid of both the B and the M, because they're going to give Evans 6 points each, because you're going to double it when the game is over. So. And the answer is no, he will not be able to get rid of both the M and the B if he's going to go down to the O triple line. The O Orexis.
The thing... Oh, so Evans is currently on hold from Scott. So Scott is not sure if this is a word. And he wants to... It is a word, by the way.
This is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge because Evans will get that 5 extra
So
points.
it looks like he's accepted it now as Evans draws the
I think I would have taken a lot
tile.
more time deciding that personally. I would have done all the math, and I think he did that way too quickly.
There's no reason not to. I mean, Evans is allowed to draw that last tile out and just keep it separate from his other letters.
He can be on hold up until the last second.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no need to let that go unless it's something twigged in Scott's mind and he go, oh, yeah, I've seen that before. That's the only reason not to keep him on hold right now.
Yeah.
So right now, Scott is probably such a close end game. Scott, hopefully, while Evans was taking so long to make his last turn, Scott will have recounted the game. He will know exactly that the score is correct. And if it's incorrect, hopefully he would open his mouth and say it isn't.
Yeah. So we've had one suggestion over here of Boma up at the top, making oboe, MOE, and AAS. Looks like it definitely has some potential as being a play that scores enough for Scott. The one thing I'd be worried then is whether or not having IIT left over, he's able to play off all 3 of his tiles the next turn.
But he's not having another turn. We're going to assume that Evans is.
Well, you won't necessarily.
Oh, you're right.
If you can't go out, then Evans might try to take 2 turns to score enough to win.
That's a very good point. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So you can see what Scott is doing right now is actually going back through and checking what letters have been played just to make sure that Evans has the tiles that he believes he has. Yeah.
Which is, I guess he would have done that before, but okay. Sometimes you forget, you're sitting in the end game and you're just enjoying the fact that your opponent's starting to melt down, taking up all his time, and so you don't think that you should be using that time yourself to, doing exactly what he's doing now. This is something he should have done during Evan's time. Yeah.
I suspect, if anybody is quackling this game, they could probably confirm, and I suspect that Boma's probably enough to win the game, even if Evans were to take an additional turn here.
I believe that was my favorite restaurant at Disneyland. It was an African restaurant, Boma. Yeah, that's a ton of points. I mean, that's just a ton of points. Now, does he know it? Let's hope. Nope, he doesn't know it. It looks like he's looking to play Om.
Is he saving a spot for Tibia or something?
Now, Evans can go out with Lenz at least to the right of outside. Let's see what else he has.
Snell.
He's got Knowles to the triple for
Yeah.
15.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's probably enough. Okay, let's do the math now. So Scott's up by 4. If he plays on, maybe he's looking to do Tom.
He played Tom.
Or just play Tomb. Tomb. T-O-M-B. He knows that word. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then he can go out with
Oh,
Ilya
yeah,
under
saves,
Tagled,
it
right?
saves Ilya, so Evans would have to block that. Yeah. Scott's got about many ways to win this game, but I'm not convinced he's going to do it yet.
Yeah, I like Tomb a lot. Better than Boma.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in Scott's hands. He almost blew it a couple minutes ago, and Evans then blew it right back.
But Tom is worth even more.
But somehow this is oh goodness.
Okay, the only thing.
It
Okay,
may still be enough to win. I have not done the math.
That's 24 points, puts him at 410. I think that's enough.
Yeah, it should still be enough, but
I think that's fine, actually. Can he do better than 15 off the O in Orexis? Anybody see anything? Snell, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's only 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 is so far the best I can see. I think that's probably enough. Oh, and Twerps and Lance. Oh, yeah.
The
Thank you.
reason we breathe so loud is because
17.
one thing with Scrabble tournaments is that you have to be quiet in the room, which is something I resent. As a result, our mics have to be turned way up so that we don't distract everybody else. Therefore, you get to hear us breathe. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm going to stick to it, too. Although you are looking really hot in that T-shirt today, I will say
I'm
that.
sweating.
Okay, Scott. Good job. It's really a thing of beauty when the end game is played properly.
Yeah.
He had multiple options. He chose a good one. Would have scored higher by doing Tomb.
Yeah.
And should have that would have been fine. And you know what? You think it's a small thing, but yesterday, at the end of play, Mac Miller and Nigel Richards were literally 12 points apart in spread. And we often have this discussion in Scrabble when you have a blowout game, whether it's good etiquette when it's your turn, when you're the one who's ahead by 250 points and you're in the end game, and you take 4 minutes to make your last play. And a lot of people would say that's really poor etiquette. You've won the game. Stop.
Yeah.
Don't take so long to find the best play. But the reality is, you could lose, being in second place, third place, whatever, by a couple of cum points. And so it behooves you to take that time. And nobody should resent you for that.
Yeah. I wish that we could move to a conference room, but the setup we're working with this year makes it easier that we stay here. So we're just going with that. And I also do know how to set up a Twitch bot. King Bob, Joe Bob, whoever you are. I don't get paid enough to do that, though. Yeah. I have no excuse. Rip Evans. Poor Evans. Poor Evans. Evans, go drink a beer.
I think you probably will.
Go eat some salt. Poor
Cube Justice, I like what
Evans.
you just said. I think it's probably more insulting to be 150 ahead and just stop paying attention to your opponent. And I've had that happen to me many times. And it's often with younger players who, they start looking away and they're bored and they're like,
I've done
F
that.
you, like, F you.
I've been there.
Give me a break. Okay, I'll take as long as I'll take. And I don't care if your ADD makes it impossible for you to pay, to sit at the board. But you know what? Have some manners.
She's talking to me because I still do this.
Do you still do that? I'm so glad we don't play.
Yeah. So That's it for this game. We're going to be back in a little bit for the next one.